Welcome back, I'm Streaky. Today I'm answering a question that I've had in the comments that asks me, am I able to mix and master using headphones only? Well, my thoughts on this is I personally don't master in headphones. That is because I've got a good room, I've got good speakers, and it's, I've got everything covered here. But if you haven't got a good setup, good space so that the sound can travel and so that you've got it absorbed on the sides and at the top and at the back, and you haven't got a really decent set of speakers so you can really hear what's going on, then I would always suggest buying a decent set of headphones, because to get your room sounding good with some decent speakers is probably going to be in the region of $5,000, but to get a decent set of headphones is going to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000. Now, I wouldn't spend more than 1,000 on headphones, because I think the difference between 1,000 and 3,000 when I've tested them all is not that much compared to the difference between £300 and £800, for example. So adding that £500 in there, you're going to get a massive amount of difference in headphones compared to £1,000 and £3,000. So my suggestion is find a set that I really like. Sennheiser 850s, they're amazing, really lightweight. I like these Audeze LCDX, I had to look at that. But loads of good headphones out there. And now there's also some software, which I'm going to talk about right now, which will change exactly the way that your headphones work compared to how your speakers work. So when you're on headphones, a lot of the time it's everything that's panned to the left and panned to the right is kind of there and it's in your head. And so that's why I find it very difficult to master on headphones, because I'm used to kind of hearing it here. I'm used to hearing the speakers. And the one thing that changed that is a company called SPL. Now, they developed a headphone amp which has got an angle, and which basically they got this matrix thing going on where it does crosstalk between one speaker and the other speaker. So it's kind of emulating how speakers work, but inside of headphones. So the angle will pull the speakers to an angle like that, because obviously you've usually got your speakers angled in, pointing at your head. It changes the angle, and that can be wider or narrower depending on your speakers. There's also a thing called crosstalk, which will throw a little bit of the left-hand side into the right, and then a little bit of the right into the left, and you can sort of gauge how much of that you want. So it kind of blends it more, because obviously when we're listening on speakers, we're not just getting that direct feed in that ear and that in the other. We're listening to a kind of blend of the two sounds, and also we're listening to it at an angle, so it gives us the kind of this forward feeling. And that's exactly what SPL did with their Phonator. Now they've done it with a USB input as well. I'm going to get one in the studio so that I can review it and show you that. But in the meantime, there is some software there who have taken this idea and then put it on steroids, and they're called Realphones. Acoustica also have some software called the Sienna, which does a similar thing, but today I'm going to show you the Realphones. We're going to jump in the computer. It's what I'm talking about that SPL does, as I said, on steroids. Let's jump in. I'll show you the bits and bobs that I liked. Download the demo yourself, check it out. If you're only on headphones, it's going to make a huge difference to what you do. Whether you like that difference or not is totally up to you, but you might find a way of working in headphones that suits you. So it sounds like you've got speakers, and so then that gives you a better way of working. And especially if you're not used to headphones, working in headphones like me, it might give you some way of working within headphones, but it also does some other stuff. Anyway, I'll stop talking, let's dive in. So here we are inside of Realphones. Let's run through a few of the different options that we've got here. So you can select your headphone profile. I've not got this option currently because I'm tight and you have to pay extra for it. But this will basically change the EQ curve to adjust the balance of your headphones, because obviously all headphones have their own EQ curve, and so you can either do full correction or keep it clean. There's a presence and a pressure there, which add a little bit more flavor. Here you can go into different studios, I'm guessing, so you can hear what they sound like, and then you can do the ambience of those rooms. So how do those speakers, if it's wet, that's less isolation in the room. And so they're more, so basically that is going to get quite splashy, which is why they draw the EQ curve that way. Now, the interesting feature of this, which is what I've been talking about, is the angle of your speakers. Now, standard angle is about 60 degrees normally, between 60 and 90. So you can kind of work that out against your preference. You just listen to that. Then they've got this HRTF system, which is the way that you kind of feel this difference between having just everything in the left or everything in the right. It kind of blends it a bit. So this is kind of like a real suck it and see moment of, okay, how much angle do I want? How much of this do I want to use against the sound of what I'm trying to listen to? You can go into a little, well, you can change all your EQ curves and things here as well. If you want things a little bit less high, you know, once you've done your correction, you might want to do some mid changes or some lows. So there's just loads of little tools here basically for doing different bits and pieces. You can turn everything on and off as well. So you can do Japanese 7-inch, which is obviously NS10s. You can select different types of speakers to hear those speakers, what they're going to sound like. So they kind of cover loads of stuff. There's obviously a little bit more, you know, this is kind of like bigger curves that you can use for density and warmth. And then, you know, the whole speaker response of that. So if we're going Japanese, then, you know, that's the full, exactly how it'd be. And then you can blend it out. So you can do mono, you can do just the stereo, you can do just the left, just the right. Switch the things stereo to mono, change the phase, switch the speakers left to right, do a full cut off top, do the top and the bottom cuts, and then a low cut. I mean, there's loads of different things for you to be able to check out, mess around with. So it's quite handy from that point of view for trying different stuff. You can go straight into different speaker types here, near field monitors. And that's to do with this reference here, where you've got the room here, and then you can go into the mids, how they sound, and then you can go into the near fields and how they sound. And you can move them like that, and then change the ambience for how much you want to hear. So it's pretty good software. It's good. The way I would use it if I was you is how I kind of mentioned earlier, where I'd find a sound that I really liked and I'd find a way of setting it up how I really liked it, and then I would stick to that, because if you change too much all the time, you're not going to get used to one setting that kind of suits you. And it's quite helpful just to have that, get used to that sound, so you've got to get quite a good balance across, listen to loads and loads of different tracks, reference material, so that you can really hear what's going to sound sort of general across for you, so that every time you work, you know, okay, I know that sound, I like that sound. My only other takeaway from this is a negative takeaway, which is one of the reasons why I probably wouldn't use it is because I want to be able to listen on headphones in different environments, and I might not have the software like this available to me when I'm listening. So this would be something I'd use only if I'm in the studio, but that way I'd probably have a different setup for home. And so it's kind of, right, I'm going to the studio to work, and that's when I have Realphones on, and that's how I know how these headphones sound. In the same way that when I come to the studio, I know how my studio speakers sound, I know how my room sounds, and I'm used to that. So I don't want that to change every time I come in. I want to be able to set up, get going as quickly as possible. That's the same thing for this. So using this in that scenario is perfect. So it's got a limiter on the end. It's got every feature you want. You've got some presets here to try different sounds. Like I say, load something up, get used to it, and then I think it will give you some good angles on getting a sound, so that you can then have something to work with that isn't just straightforward left and right. Because I personally think that if you're doing that when you're trying to mix and master, unless you've done it for a long time, you're really used to it. It's a very hard thing to get a mix right, and especially mastering right in headphones when you haven't got that crosstalk sort of feature and you haven't got the angle right. You're just not going to get a great finished sound. You're not going to hear it how other people are going to hear it on speakers. So download Realphones, give it a go. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. I know there's another one called Can Opener by Goodhertz. Love Goodhertz software. All of the stuff I've tried for them is brilliant. So try Can Opener as well. I know that mainly does this crosstalk feature that I'm talking about. So yeah, check that out. Realphones. There's also the Acoustica one. I know a few other people are doing them too. I think there's an Abbey Road one, I'm not too sure. But let me know in the comments what you think of it, how you use it. I'd like to know if you use it on speakers as well. Like, I mean, as in, do you use it for when you've got a nice set of speakers, and when you're in a studio, do you still use it for like referencing and things like that? So let me know in the comments. Love to open up a bit of a chat about it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Download that, like this video. See you next time. Make sure you subscribe. Bye.